a holy saint, one of our own fathers, I believe it was one which fed a vision of hell. It seemed to him that he stood in the midst of a great hall, dark and silent, save for the ticking of a great clock. The ticking went on unceasingly, and it seemed to the saint that the sound of the ticking was the ceaseless repetition of the words ever, never, ever, never, ever to be in hell, never to be in heaven, ever to be shut off from the presence of God, never to enjoy the beatific vision, ever to be eaten with flames, gnawed by the vermin, goaded with burning spikes, never to be free from those pains, ever to have the conscious, upright one, the memory enraged, the mind filled with darkness and despair, never to escape, ever to curse and reveal the foul demons who gloat vanishingly over the misery of their dupes, never to behold the shining raiment of the blessed spirits, ever to cry out of the abyss of fire to God for an instant, a single instant of respite from such awful agony, never to receive, even for an instant, God's pardon, ever to suffer, never to enjoy, ever to be damned, never to be saved, ever, never, ever and never. Oh, what a dreadful punishment! An eternity of endless agony, of endless bodily and spiritual torment, without one ray of hope, without one moment of cessation, of agony limitless in intensity, of torment infinitely varied, of torture that sustains eternally that which it eternally devours, of anguish that everlastingly preys upon the spirits while it racks the flesh, an eternity, every instant of which is itself an eternity of woe. Such is a terrible punishment decreed for those who die in a mortal sin by an almighty and a just God. Yes, a just God, man, reasoning always as man, are astonished that God should mete out an everlasting and infinite punishment in the fires of hell for a single grievous sin. They reason thus because, blinded by the gross illusion of the flesh and the darkness of human understanding, they are unable to comprehend the hideous malice of the mortal sin. They reason thus because they are unable to comprehend that even venial sin is of such a foul and hideous nature that even if the unpunished creature could end all the evil and misery in a world, the wars, the disease, robberies, the crime, the death, the murders, one condition that he allowed a single venial sin to pass unpunished. A single venial sin, a lie, an angry look, a moment of wilful sloth. He, the great omnipotent God, could not do so because sin, be it in thought or deed, is a transgression of his law, and God would not be God if he did not punish the transgressor. Sin, an instant of rebellious pride of the intellect, made Lucifer and a third part of the cohorts of angels far from their gallery. A sin, an instant of folly and a weakness, drew Adam and Eve out of Eden and brought death and suffering into the world. To retrieve the consequences of that sin, the only begotten Son of God came down to earth, lived and suffered, and died a most painful death, hanging for 3 hours on a cross. Oh, my dear little brethren in Christ Jesus, will we then offend that God Redeemer and provoke his anger? Will we trample again upon that torn and mangled corpse? Will we spit upon the faces so full of sorrow and love? Will we too, like the cruel Jews and the brutal soldiers, mock that gentle and compassionate Saviour who trod alone for our sake the awful winepress of sorrow? Every word of sin is a wound in his tender side. Every sinful act is a thorn piercing his head. Every importo deliberately yielded to is a keen lance transfixing that scared and loving heart. No, no, it is impossible for any human being to do that which offends so deeply the divine majesty, that which is punished by an eternity of agony, that which crucifies again that Son of God. God mercy, and makes a mockery of him. This video is taken for Navid Daria's page.